Are you all right?
No, I am not all right. I just shared a bottle of Kanar with Damar. That rhymes.
You're drunk.
Of course I'm drunk.
Yeah, this will be interesting because lately I have been annoyed because of how many things that Shives has been saying that I can't disagree with.
Yeah, I'll post it in the live chat so other people can also check as well.
Check to see if they're blocked by Shives. Dora, you are amazing. Lower decks I can bear. I can bear those. But that might be my flaw. The rest, heresy indeed. Yes, we're going to have some fun. I'm gonna confidently say that the gloves are off this time because, as some may or may not be aware, we have recently had First Contact Day, the celebration of the mythical future date when it is confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that humanity is not alone in the universe. As mentioned through various Star Trek series, but shown on screen in the movie aptly named First Contact, it has led to some wonderful offerings and wonderful news that has come out in the wake of First Contact Day. We've actually had 3 trailers released, 3 initial teaser trailers for Season 4 of Discovery, Season 2 of Picard, and Season 2 of Lower Decks. And there was also a live stream that included the two originating, my mind is blanking on the term now. The original authors of the pending series, Star Trek Prodigy. And they also had Kate Mulgrew on there, which gave some insight as to the how and why Janeway is in that series. Which, I'll be honest, I can't take too much offense at that. It's just, I was hoping for a bit more effort from the writing staff.
Give it time, Laura. Give it time.
But Jared, you've forgotten. Effort is one of those things that if you have to think more than 2 minutes at 4 a.m. in the morning after a proper fucking bender, it's too much effort.
And that is the sad part about it. That actually used to be one of the hallmark differences between Star Wars and Star Trek, is that Star Trek was more of the intellectual, more of the philosophical, whereas Star Trek was the, hey, let's have some fun. Let's have some fun and create an epic story. And so you would expect them to have differences. But for the cast of characters that has been released for, let's just start with Prodigy. It's the newest one, so it's a lot of unknowns going into it. We know that Kate Mulgrew is going to be a part of it. We know that Janeway's there. But
is it animated?
It is. It is a Nickelodeon animation series. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and give the actual spoiler alert on this stuff, but this is stuff that they have talked about publicly so far to give a bit of a whetting of the appetite for this series. And to me, it's probably one of the least offensive ones so far. Janeway. Janeway is Well, okay, let's start with the setting. It is taking place in the Delta Quadrant. Janeway as the character is there because it's not actually Janeway, but a command training hologram developed on Voyager that was found as part of an abandoned Hulk in the Delta Quadrant. So it's kind of Janeway, but kind of not. And it also goes to show that she's not going to be a regular lead character. A recurring support character? Yes. But not a lead. Here's part of my problem with the leads. Take away the Star Trek Prodigy logo, and what series does it look like they're from?
Does it end with wars?
Yes. They look like a gaggle of rebels from Star Wars. Almost like that's the audience archetype that they're trying to poach from with this one. Now,
All right, hold on just a second. I'll pull up one of their shots.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Star Wars franchise isn't doing so hot lately.
Not the main part of it, no.
I mean, even some of the attempted offshoots and splinters aren't doing too hot. About the only ones that have was the series that started before Kathleen Kennedy started messing around with it.
The Mandalorian is really good, though.
It is. And it's also one of the shows that Kennedy has the least control and influence on. Almost like there's a correlation there that could actually be legit causation. Imagine that. But yeah, so you have that cast that looks more fitting to a Star Wars environment being slapped with the Star Trek logo.
Looking at this here, though, I think I'm going to have to correct you on that. It doesn't look like Star Wars. It looks like Skylanders.
See, I'm not familiar with Skylanders, but still, it looks like they're... To reiterate the phrase that I used when we were talking about Picard, it looks like they're trying to do the Pokemon of sci-fi. They're trying to collect all the fan bases and make them their own.
Yeah, one could argue that, but yes, I agree with you there, Leon. It does look more like Skylanders.
Because Star Wars, even though they have a lot of fantastical creatures in Star Wars, they have tried to make it look more grounded before. Right now with this, it feels more like we need these characters to look as diverse as possible in the sense of we want something that looks kind of like a dwarf, something that doesn't look humanoid at all. We want something rocky. We want something that could be a tough guy. We want something that would be, well, completely alien towards or to anyone involved. It looks like they had a bingo card and tried to just fit everything in.
Or... Go for it, Jay.
I was going to say, it was more like they had a bunch of characters on a dartboard and they all got drunk and just threw darts at whatever they could figure out.
Yeah, pretty much. Which actually, that feels like it goes against so much of what Star Trek has established before.
I mean, it's synthahol, not actual alcohol, but you know.
This isn't even synthahol. This is that off-brand energy drink that people think that there might be some kind of alcohol in it because it tastes like fucking diesel.
Oh, the Four Locos?
I haven't tasted those, but I can imagine.
I'm not sure if anyone actually really ever tastes Four Loko. They just kind of black out after the first sip. and shit happens.
But looking at this, we see in Star Trek that, okay, these species might look outwardly very, very similar. There might be, the forehead ridges, as always. But then you see that, okay, this species has two hearts. This species has legs, or not legs, but feet that are completely different to human feet. And it's not that you have to make the entire species look completely different, except for in some cases when, the species, the fucking number I can never remember.
Oh,
And those.
8472.
Yeah. 24601. But when you have those ones, and they make them look completely alien. But most of the species that we encounter look humanoid, superficially. And then you look at, or then you actually go into the nitty gritty, and sure, they're humanoid, but they're far from human.
Oh, even like the Vulcans, where other than the ears and the eyebrows look very human, except for the copper-based blood.
And the heart placement.
Yeah, internal biologies get muddled around.
The third eyelid.
But then again, I kind of chalk that up to a byproduct of the era that they were initially writing and setting everything up from. It was easier from an effect standpoint if your alien of the week or your alien du jour was as close to human as possible, but had subtle differences that didn't have to be shown on screen. So, I am willing to give a bit of a pass on artistic license in that regard. However, that's not really a problem now. And this is one thing I will give credit to Discovery and Picard for. It is arguably the only thing I will give them credit for. The special effects, the visual effects, they're actually making pretty good use of the technology and the avenues available to them for what they're able to put on screen.
It's also called After Effects.
But with the substance that's supposed to go along with it, that's where I take issue with it. Like, doing a fantastic special effects scene just for the sake of a fantastic special effects scene, I'm looking at you, internal cavernous turbo lift area in Discovery that has no fucking place that it could actually fit within inside the ship. Yeah, there was no reason to steal that scene from Total Recall if you couldn't actually realistically place it somewhere. At that point, you are all but admitting to you're doing things for the cool factor, not because they make sense within the story or the setting that you've established.
But this also plays into what we discussed earlier with, okay, why do they try to trump one another now? Why do they always try to make it more and more grandiose? Why can't they have a small setting?
And this is where, like a lot of issues, I think it comes down to the money. I think what is actually driving a lot of these decisions that are being made and mistakes that are being made is because they are incorrectly trying to... I am not reading that aloud, Foehammer. Sorry, I am not doing it. But you have a lot of offerings available for the viewing audience. So you really do have to try to have as much of a viewer base as you can to justify the series. And let's be honest, a lot of the sci-fi lately that has been getting the viewership, that has been getting the accolades and been getting the fan base support is something like The Expanse. Something along those lines where it's different, it's new, it's still sci-fi, but it's not the same thing that has been done over and over and over. You could dare say for its introduction to the small screen viewing, it was unexpected. It's also why DS9 and Babylon 5 got the view that it did when those were released, because it was different. It was dramatically different. You finally had a Star Trek series that wasn't taking place on a starship going about the entire available regions that they could travel to. You were essentially anchored to a single location, which gave a whole different avenue type for storytelling that Trek hadn't explored. But
Also having more... Go on.
But a big difference is you had competent writers there who could write a coherent story without completely destroying what they had done immediately prior. You don't have inexcusable contradictions.
That's one thing that I want to go into too. They made it less episodic and more actually with an overhanging theme. You can watch from episode to episode in DS9, and you can tell what season you're in, and you can tell what episode or where in the season you are, depending on the characters and how they act. There's subtle changes happening all the time, whereas in TNG, you can essentially take something from season 2 and mix it up with season 3 or season 6, and there's not that much difference.
Hang on, I just got a message. Oh, okay, hang on. We're about to have a special guest. Kind of wondering, I was like, wait, what? So, normally, if there's going to be a bit more of a prominent name joining the conversation, I'd let people know ahead of time. Now, I will say that I did send a message to Undoomed to invite him to this discussion, because away from his YouTube work, he... Oh, come on. Copy the entire fucking thing. There we go. Because he actually works in Hollywood, mostly. He works in a capacity where he's working with a lot of the background stuff for projects. So I would have loved to get his insight. No, he's not the one who actually just responded to me. We have another name coming on to join the conversation, because as he said, he wants something to shut his brain off to.
Well, he could just watch seasons 1, 2, and 3 of Discovery.
This is
Shut
true.
off, not destroy.
Well,
Destroy, shut down. I mean, it's the same thing, really.
no, because you can turn it back on after. But with Discovery, especially with that show, I wanted to give it a chance. I wanted it to be something worth watching, and they decided to just no, we're gonna fuck up season 1, and then we're gonna go down the political stupidity rabbit hole with season 2 and into 3, and now some of the feedback on resulting from the trailer of season 4, I kind of get a chuckle out of. But hey, Reds, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Just here to turn my brain off. I haven't done that in a while, and so would like to. I have absolutely nothing to contribute to this conversation. The best I can offer is my fucking deep dive into the Orville, but that's more like Star Trek Light.
Oh, no.
As far as I'm aware.
No, it's the spiritual successor to Star Trek at this point. Because
Is that what they're calling it?
The people who actually pay attention, yes.
Well, that's not me. I'm not one of those people that pays attention. Apparently, bridge officers can lay eggs, and they have to sit on it like a fucking chicken. So I was like, oh, yep, this is definitely Seth MacFarlane.
Oh,
Well, they do save the money in toilet breaks.
I mean, but you gotta admit though, they actually have toilets in the Orville that we actually are somewhat aware of. That was actually a running gag about Star Trek for a while until Enterprise was, where the hell is the bathroom?
The one thing that I do like about Star Trek is all the one-liner quotes that are like super deep philosophically, and then you go to the Orville and it takes those same philosophical quotes and just turns it into a butt joke, and it's amazing.
Well, what do you expect from the creator of Family Guy?
I mean, the dude definitely knows his shit, and it's extremely entertaining. My one of my favorite episodes, at least so far, was this idea of groupthink, and they were exploring groupthink. They visit a planet that I guess is based like in 2000s New York kind of thing, where if you do something wrong, the entire population votes to erase your brain and make you, nice and polite or whatever. Screw the context of what led up to the reason why people think you're a dick, but they were like, okay, so this is like the ultimate consequence of groupthink. This is like what happens when groupthink is left to flourish, and it can be detrimental. And I'm like, even though it's it's more likely a comedy, it does get you thinking like, oh, this is a utopia that we don't want.
Oh yeah, it's actually, there have been questions raised about that, about the Federation and Star Trek itself. And it's a question that I first saw that sort of storyline be touched in the series Black Mirror, where you would actually get social points which would affect whether or not you could buy a specific car or rent to live in a specific area. If your social score was too low, well, you can go here, but you can't go here. And
aren't they actually doing that in China though?
Yes, they are.
yeah. And there has also been talk about the possibility of your FICO score, of your credit score and credit worthiness being affected by your online and social media behavior in the near future.
Oh wow.
And to people who want to say that we just blindly support and bootlick the government and everything, fuck you. Because I hear about that shit, and that is stuff that, no, I do not support that at all.
I do not support that. I do support us putting Winnie the Pooh posters all over the place in China. That'd be fun.
I'm okay with that one. The
I'm okay
Winnie the
with
Pooh
that.
posters,
Yeah, I can agree with that one. But so, Reds, I'm about to send you a link on Hangouts. It's a short clip for you to watch. It's actually the season 4 trailer for Star Trek Discovery. I would love to hear your reaction as you're watching it.
All right. Is audio really that important to this trailer, or because I'm not wearing headphones right now?
I would say no.
No.
It is. So I can mute this thing.
Just go with muting it first, and then see if you want to find out what they're actually saying.
I can turn on closed captioning. They have that available.
True.
It's pretty much all just dramatic narration.
Oh.
Well,
Don't
how
ruin
about
it.
this?
Don't ruin it too much.
How about this? How about this instead? How about you pipe it through so that, oh wait, we can't do that because the fucking copyright goblins will get you.
Yep.
Oh, god damn it.
because we actually tried that with a live reaction and review of the Dune trailer finally a while ago, and I actually ended up having to clip out the portion of us actually playing the Dune trailer. Fucking bastards.
They're really up people's asses with that. All right, let's see what we have here. I'm just gonna I'm gonna play it on my phone. So let's see.
Yep.
I am going to lower the volume down. Paramount Plus, because of fucking course it is.
Yeah, they're advertising for the rebrand of the streaming platform.
All right.
It starts with plus, and then it'll be plus plus, and then it'll be X.
And from the chat from Dora, send Reds to the P corner for not taking the Orville seriously.
And 2021.
That one from Fohammer can actually be read out loud.
The last one?
Yeah.
So Fohammer says, I want to live in Warhammer 40k as a servant to Khorne's favorite blood letter.
Oh, no, not that one. The super chat.
Oh.
That isn't talking about punching the fart boxes, etc.
For $2 US as Reds came in, called it. It was my newts that joined.
Can you define newts, please?
Nuts.
Yeah, it's an alternate spelling for nuts.
Oh, okay.
Probably Canadians or some shit.
Okay, so I went ahead and watched this thing, and apparently, if I understand the premise, there's like this omnipresent gravitational force, according to the video, is 5 light years wide or large or whatever. And so apparently they're practically, so they've graduated to the point where they're going to go up against God.
And the bestest ever, Mikey Burnham, is the only one who can solve it.
So is this like solving the equation to everything kind of thing, where they have to use their brains and not necessarily their brawn? Because didn't they already try that with the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Oh, okay. I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to let that out. Got it.
The overall storyline isn't supposed to be so fucking base and easy to determine just from a 90-second trailer, but it is.
Also, mind you, this gravitational anomaly only affects creatures. If you look in the video, it doesn't affect anything else. The sparks and everything just fly the merry way. The people, though, they go flying.
Damn.
It's almost like the writers and artistic direction of Star Trek Discovery has no fucking clue what they're doing.
The Arctic. Go on.
It sounds like they're just, reverting back to basics, kind of like what we saw in Avatar. It was like, wow, it's literally every movie I have ever seen ever, just with tall blue tribe people.
I was just about to ask you which Avatar, because
yes,
we don't talk about the Last Airbender.
No, I'm not. I'm not talking about Avatar the band. The band Avatar is fucking awesome, and anyone that says otherwise is a piece of shit. But no, Avatar, as in the tall blue people. What are they called? The Na'vi?
The Na'vi.
The Na'vi, yes. So the Na'vi is like, wow, this is every single movie I've ever seen.
Knock it off. Sorry. Having to tell the dog to behave.
Yeah. So I think what Star Trek is doing now is that they're like saying, well, I'm out of ideas. Let's go back to basics and hope for the best. And for some videos, or for some movies, I should say, that works. Like, for example, Avatar was one of the highest grossing films ever in history. Ever. I think, isn't it like number 2? Isn't it number 2 right now?
I believe so. It did make a ton of money. I will give Avatar.
Oh, it made more than just a ton of money. It made a shitload.
Yeah, well, to quote Spaceballs, we're not doing it for a ton of money. We're doing it for a shit ton of money.
Yes.
Avatar still has the highest rank, followed by Avengers Endgame and Titanic.
Yep.
Two
I
out
was
of
just pulling out.
2 out of 3, James Cameron. Again, I will give that guy credit. He knows how to make a movie that will make a ton of money. That doesn't mean they're a good movie, but it makes money. Because that is the thing. A lot of people who want to use certain numbers to determine whether or not something is good, idiots are known to spend a lot of money on things that are dumb.
I mean, yeah, Furious 7. I remember the original Fast and the Furious. I remember the original one. Basically, street racing gang. They hook up with the cops in a certain way to like bust something, but it was somewhat kind of maybe believable. Now we have fucking Lamborghinis being airdropped by C-18s or whatever, and I'm like, are you fucking high right now?
Yeah, that is often a question that I ask myself when looking at certain movies and shows is, how high were you and what was it on? Because I feel like I need to be in that sort of experience to understand what's going on.
I mean, look at the original Fast and Furious. Now, even though the situations that people are placed in are very, very unlikely, if the situation were to actually come up, what is depicted in the film can actually happen. There is no way in hell any government is going to airdrop a Lamborghini into hostile territory.
No.
That shit is never going to fucking happen.
Wait, was it 7 or one of the ones right before it where they were racing a submarine across a frozen inlet?
That was one of them. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, that shit's never going to happen. And it's like, no, that's not what this was supposed to be. That is not what this was supposed to be. And each car still has 17 gears, which I still don't fucking understand. Fucking Christ.
Well, isn't that the case? If you want to go faster, just put more gears.
Turn it up to 11.
I mean, it's Too Fast, Too Furious was another one. Too Fast, Too Furious was like, it was a little more believable, but less believable than the first one. But then you have, I think it was Furious 7 or whatever, and I was like, absolutely not. At this point, this is a comedy. We might as well lump it into the same category as Monty Python or Spaceballs.
Yeah, and there is a certain time when a series needs to stop. And yes, that even goes for Star Trek. And I understand that they've done how many movies? Let's see, how many videos do we have reviewing the movies? Plus a few more? But there's still that whole thing of, you have to know when to stop. Yeah. Yes, thank you for the toy.
I personally don't see any value in the Fast and the Furious franchise anymore. To me, it's a dead franchise. Unless they can somehow go back to their roots, which I don't think is possible. They've built up this hype where you expect Lamborghinis to get airdropped into hostile territory. They can't go back to just busting a drug cartel in Miami. They can't do that. You know, a drug cartel in Miami that's funded by illegal street racing or some shit like that. They can't go back to that. It's not wild enough anymore. And it's gotten so wild and out of control that they've just fucking killed themselves, honestly.
And that's the thing, is you have that one-upsmanship. You have that mentality of, oh, we have to go bigger than before. You have that progression that they have established themselves into and have hamstrung themselves by. And that is actually the beauty of older movies and media, in that you didn't have that progression in that sense. You still had progression, you still had growth, but it was typically character growth and actual storytelling driven. It's not, okay, we we did it and we went this big and this flashy before, so we gotta go even bigger and flashier than now. I mean, not everyone is Michael Bay. Not everyone can make a sneeze explode. They try, but they shouldn't. But that's the thing, is you have different styles of storytelling that they have gone away from. The only movies in the past few years that I've actually watched willingly and am thankful for actually had good writing. They were well crafted, well told stories that actually went where they needed to, how they needed to. Some of them, admittedly, were some messed up stories. Like, one of the ones we watched recently on the Discord server a few weeks back, Promising Young Woman. Great movie. Fucked up premise, but great movie. And that's the thing, is you can push the bounds in other ways while still telling a good story. And still having that intellectual side while also having that entertainment side working together instead of seemingly being opposed to each other. That's bullshit.
I like movies not just for a good storyline and good acting. I like movies that know what they are and don't try to reinvent themselves as they go. That's why I love the first like one or two movies in the Fast and the Furious series or for the franchise. But the rest of them they fucking lost me. I love the Transporter series because they never changed that shit. Look, this movie is about gunfights, fast cars, explosions, and those sex scenes that have absolutely nothing to do with the storyline whatsoever. They know what they are. They know exactly what they're putting out there, and I respect that. And a few other movies have done the exact same thing.
Crank.
But it's like now what I see is this constant drive to one up the last one. It just dilutes whatever they're trying to make, and I just wish that would fucking stop.
Well, and that's actually getting back to the primary subject here with the latest iterations of Star Trek. That's actually what they're seemingly doing from someone who's actually paying attention to the landscape of sci-fi in general. Especially in Discovery and Picard, those series, they've been pulling elements from other sci-fi offerings that have come out in the past few years and trying to steal what they have deemed as, why is this show getting popularity and getting viewership? Oh, they have this part of the story. Let me try to incorporate that here. Alex Kurtzman even attributed part of the inspiration for some of the subplots in the season 1 of Picard on Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Shit you not, he actually admitted that he looked at the success of Game of Thrones and was like, well, how can I bring some of that into Star Trek and get the same success? So, during Picard, there was this whole thing about a potential sexual tension between two of the characters that were established as siblings. Sound familiar, anyone?
Yeah, it does. One thing that I know, what made Game of Thrones so successful, at least in my opinion, is the dialogue. The dialogue between characters on the show is just so goddamn good. It is really, really good. The dialogue is not just there to fill time. It's actually deep. It means something.
It's the actual storytelling of it. It's the actual... instead of being so superficial and just surface layer, there's nuance to it. There's maneuvering. There's, for lack of a better term, there is a chess game being played that each of these interactions is a minor move in. And that's actually what made the initial bit of Game of Thrones so enjoyable, entertaining, and actually successful, because you're taking a good story, you're taking well crafted plot lines and actually building off of that, while also throwing in a bit of brutality and a bit of gaudiness, and doing it in such a way where it's a little bit shock factor, but also it's amplifying the setting of where all of this is taking place. That Westeros is a real brutal yet occasionally beautiful place to be. It all depends on where you are in that lot in life. It's either really fucking shit, or you have everything at your fingertips and everything in between, and just how that actually plays out.
Yeah.
But then once the show caught up to the material that Martin has actually put to paper and released, the show then fell off the rails because the two guys running the show didn't know how to fucking write themselves out of a paper bag successfully.
Didn't the actual actors say that? I mean, because I seem to remember an interview with like multiple actors that were on the show, and they were like, "Yeah, I can see why people didn't really like it all that much after a while." like they even knew that as they were making this so-called masterpiece, that it would turn out not to be a masterpiece anymore.
But yeah, it was after season 5, the quality of the scripts started to go down. And the reason why is because they had caught up to the source material, and it became the responsibility of the writers and the showrunners to take the outline that they had from George and now craft your story while following the same outline. And I really think George R.R. Martin, in both a dick move and a masterful move, has delayed finishing and releasing the latest book just so he can let things die, release the book, have it be so much better than the last few seasons that they got, so he could leverage it into either a movie or another series deal where he gets more of a cut to redo the end of the story in a better way.
Yeah, the alternate ending that's actually going to be considered the original ending.
Yep. And that's the thing that you're having with Trek. Like, I routinely called, instead of it being Star Trek Picard, it's Star Trek Pokemon. Especially in the first few episodes, because you had elements from so many different franchises that have nothing to do with Trek, that it seemed like they were trying to create a new audience at the detriment of the existing audience that was waiting to see what they had to offer. Because you had elements that appeared to be direct references to Lord of the Rings, with one of the characters essentially being a respelling of the name Elrond, and he looked like an elf, he acted like an elf, and was a naive version of that character in Star Trek.
The Schneider's cut of Game of Thrones, exactly.
You can't say they act like an elf. That's speciesist.
Well, hey, pointed ears, wanna be pseudo-intellectual.
I think we're getting canceled now.
Druish?
She doesn't look like a Druish princess. Oh, movies that couldn't be made today because of political butthurt.
Blazing Saddles.
I know the answer to this one. Forrest Gump.
Actually,
It would be produced, but it would be so fucking just soaked in political correctness.
Yeah, there was none of that in Forrest Gump. There was absolutely none of that, and it's, if you were to produce that movie today, it would be something totally different. You could not make that movie today. You would get shut down. You'd be raided.
Well, so many people think that Forrest Gump is a comedy. It's really not. It's a really tragic story, really.
Yes,
The
it
only
is.
thing making it a comedy is Gump's reactions to things.
Yep.
But that was an unfortunate byproduct. It was an unintentional comedy because the character is so simple because of the condition that he's in, the state that he's in, and yet he manages to bumble his way into and out of so many historical events that it really gives a different view of US history from the 50s into the 90s through the eyes of, for lack of a better term, a mentally handicapped person.
Yeah, it's like I said, that movie would not be made. Hell, even most cartoons that you used to watch on Boomerang wouldn't be made today because they would be called too violent. And like, for example, I loved Wile E. Coyote. Grew up on that shit, but it's like, oh, he constantly, nearly, or pretty much kills himself every single show. Yes, that's the premise.
Yeah, it's almost like even as kids we recognized how outlandish the stuff was, but hilarious it was. A number of us weren't dumb enough to think that a stick of dynamite going off in our face, all it would do is give us this black soot covered face and maybe rearrange things, that all we have to do is shake our head and it's back to normal. No,
To
we
be
weren't
honest,
idiots like that.
Well, I
To be honest,
actually,
those who did think that aren't really around anymore.
yeah, pretty much. And honestly,
Say
that type
like
of
it's a bad
thinking,
thing.
that type of thinking was actually made fun of in The Dictator, where the dictator goes to his secret lair in a in his fake dictatorship country just for the movie, and he's like, this is a bomb. It's too round on the top. It needs to be pointy. He goes, sir, I think your knowledge about bombs is coming from cartoons. Nonsense. They were research films, and in the films they would get black sooty faces, and then they would rise to heaven while playing a harp. In this movie, was there a duck who, when the explosion happens, his bill goes to the back of his head, and then in order to talk, he needs to turn it back the other way? There was somebody that suffered a deformity like that. Yes, okay, I think you're talking about cartoons. That type of shit was funny. That conversation was funny because it goes back to why people are freaking out about this and how it makes no sense.
Yeah.
But
Have you
back then,
consulted the experts? Have you spoken to Professor Bobai? Professor who? Bobai, the guy with the strong forearms that are misshapen for his body. Oh, you mean Popeye the Sailor Man. He is not a physicist. He is, as the song tells us, a sailor man.
but back then too, it was also a case of you have cartoons and shit like that, and you have reality. The two do not mix.
Yeah. Does anyone really believe that if you paint a tunnel on the side of a mountain that you can just drive right through it?
Or have a train
Do I
come
have
out
to
of it at
pull up
you?
the picture?
Oh, I painted this tunnel. The Roadrunner runs right through it, no problem. I'm going to start chasing it. Smacks into wall.
Hey, it's the magic of belief. If you just believe it, it'll be true.
Right?
Sounds like a lot
Check
of people.
internal chat.
Okay.
Mute Docky has it right. It sounds like we're talking about flat earthers now.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Yeah, I saw that.
Don't underestimate the fucking stupidity of real people.
Wait a minute, which... I need to take a
Do you
look
want me
at
to
which...
share it?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it. I think I know which one it is, but I want to make sure.
Yeah, and they're also saying in the live chat right now, someone did that in a car, ran into it. Yep. They had to paint over it.
People are fucking stupid.
Oh my god! And there's even the Roadrunner next to it.
Yes.
Oh,
And they didn't notice, I think, as they got closer, that maybe that this is flat. You can't see shit on the other side. They just bunked right into it. See, people still do believe that to a certain extent, even if it might come from not being attentive enough.
wow.
I mean that's kind of the exception to the rule. I honestly, I would I wouldn't have painted over that tunnel. I wouldn't. I would have given it a fucking medal, or like a tally. Cars that have actually ran into this shit won.
have the tally marks above the Roadrunner, and the Roadrunner's holding a piece of chalk.
Yep, exactly. That's what I would do. I would, it would become part of the lore, and then people would know it just based on the lore that you should not become a statistic. I mean, that's honestly, that's what I would do in that situation. I wouldn't paint over it.
Oh, well, this actually brings up a good question from Burns. How to explain that to your insurance company? I think the insurance company being involved is why it got painted over.
Yep, pretty much. I really, but God damn it, if ever an insurance company had a reason not to pay out something, I think that would be one. But then again, they try to not pay me out for my shit, so I'm just biased.
Well, insurance companies are a weird entity. Yes, pay us because you might have something happen to you, but if you have that thing happen to you after you've been paying us, we don't want to pay out.
That's why I say over and over again, I don't want to branch away from the subject, but just a quick plug here. Everyone who drives or rides needs a dash cam, and if you ride a bike, get yourself one of those helmet cams. Get yourself one that like sticks flush. Like I know Drift has a camera that bikers put on their helmets, and also the Sony action cams are better helmet cams than GoPros. But if you are driving, get a dash cam. If you're riding, get a helmet cam. Do not travel without that shit being recorded in some way, shape, or form, because it will save your ass. Trust me, it did for me multiple times over.
And watch out for gates if you're riding a
Oh
motorcycle.
God.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's another Imager video that Leon shared earlier of a guy riding off-road, going at a pretty decent clip, and hey, there's a turn in the road. I should go right. I'm gonna look to the right, but no, I'm gonna keep going straight. And then 5 seconds later, he has a solid gate that's across the road, the dirt road, just below his chest. Brings him to a complete stop.
You want to see real asshole bike riders? They're not in Boston. They're in Miami.
Wait, are we talking bicycle or motorcycle? Because I think
in
NANA
Miami,
is.
it's both.
I think NANA is talking the bicycle though, because those motherfuckers, I stopped slowing down for them.
Have you seen the Top Gear commercial with the cyclists?
No, I have not.
It's so you have a cyclist, right, in the bike rider gear. He's has his little I ride a bicycle helmet on, and he has his bicycle gloves on. It's pretty clear he's riding a fucking bike. So he's like fucking Armstrong in this shit. He looks just like him. He has the entire outfit. Anyway, his bicycle is laying right next to him, and he's defusing a bomb. And there's a guy in his ear, and it says, "Cut the red wire. Cut the red wire. It is imperative that you cut the red wire." Cuts the green wire, and it explodes. And then it says, "Cyclists, red and green. Learn the bloody difference."
Nice.
So I figured, I was like, for a commercial, that's pretty good. Pretty good. It's a good public service announcement.
But the worst thing is
Ring my
that
bell to be a special subscriber.
I noticed somebody in chat.
But the worst thing is that bicyclists aren't just a nuisance to cars. They're fucking dangerous to pedestrians as
Everyone.
well. Yeah, because you're walking there on this fucking sidewalk. All of a sudden, you hear pling pling, and a fucking adult comes up behind you, trying to get you to step off the fucking sidewalk into the road, so that they can go past you on the sidewalk on the fucking bike.
Isn't it? I mean, I don't know. It varies from country to country, but at least here, bicycles aren't allowed on the sidewalk.
Oh, they aren't. They give not a flying fuck.
They have their own little lane on the side of the road that they stick to, and if they deviate from that lane, then fucking fair game, I guess. Oh, I got blindsided by a Mini Cooper. Well, were you in your lane? No? Well, then fuck off.
I need to just save 20 seconds by going straight over this little part here. Fuck the people walking there. Fuck the cars having to stop for me so they don't, scratch the cars. It's all about me.
Yeah. I tend to not like bike riders. Every single one of them has turned out to be a total asshole. Especially in Florida. But then again, most people are assholes in Florida because it's Florida.
Yeah, it's a survival tactic down there.
Oh, it's not just a survival tactic, it's a way of life.
No, exactly. If you want to live, you do have to be a measure of an asshole to make it down there. Or else some other asshole's going to do something that causes you quite the level of harm. I mean, Florida man is a thing.
Florida man is a thing. The Sunshine State guarantees that Florida man will never die. So if you, because if you get arrested or whatever, the Sunshine Act allows you to gather those records. They basically become public. And so when you have Florida man, there's actually Florida man all over the place. It's just that Florida man is easier to find in Florida because of the Sunshine Act. And so what you have is an explosion of stupid fucks doing stupid shit in Florida because they're easy to find in Florida. Guy masturbates on tree while screaming that he is its god.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that was a real story, where a guy was masturbating on a tree or masturbating in front of a tree while screaming at the tree that he was the tree's god.
All right then.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That actually fucking happened. And there was another guy who was charged with assault with a deadly weapon after he ran into a convenience store with an alligator and started running towards people.
I remember seeing the articles about that one.
He actually did an interview, and he's like, yeah, it was stupid. I don't know why I did that. I have nothing against this place. This place sells me some really good liquor. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes, so what can you tell us about that night? I don't know. There was too much alcohol involved. He goes, well, not just alcohol. There must be some sort of conspiracy. No, it was the alcohol. But there has to be something. What is it that all these people have in common? And he goes, mental health issues.
There is some truth to that. I mean,
so many Florida man, so many fucking gators.
Florida man, gators, and alcohol is the triad of a news writer's wet dreams.
It's only gators because everyone else hates the Crocs.
And one person was caught dancing with an alligator, and he was fined by the wildlife authorities or whatever. And he goes, so So what do you call yourself? I'm the Gator Man. You're the Gator Man. Yeah, and I even have a theme song. It goes na 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 na. It's the Gator Man. That is totally the McDonald's jingle. Well, it's the Gator Man's now. And then the interviewer goes, "I can see why you say it works. Okay, I can see that."
Wow.
Yep. Basically, he said, if there's a lake, there's a gator, and then he goes, gets gators, and then dances with them. And I'm like, derp.
How do these people? How do they survive childhood? Because let's admit it, you don't get to that level of audacity just overnight at some point in adolescence or early adulthood. No. There is a long string of, hey, watch this, that leads up to it, that goes back to childhood.
There was a story done about Florida Man. It was actually a really funny piece. It was on the Daily Show, and I gotta find it and send it to you guys and share it on Twitter because that shit was fucking hilarious. An entire story segment, just based on Florida Man. It was absolutely fucking fascinating, and they found out the reason why. And just like I said previously, it was the Sunshine Act, where stupid shit is public information in Florida.
Well, given that it's everyday life too.
Yeah, that
hard to
works
avoid
too.
it.
If you're ever in Florida, you need to stop by 3 places. You need to stop by Miami, then you need to go to Orlando, and then you need to go to Jacksonville. You go to those 3 places, I guarantee you will not want to come back.
I think
You say that as if I want to go there in the first place.
Oh, no. Florida is a great place to visit if you're going there to enjoy the weather.
Listen, we only have 2 things going for us right now, and the fact is that there is a haven where you can see an oversized rat and you can hang out with said oversized rat for what essentially amounts to your arm, your leg, and your firstborn child. And we also launch spacecrafts out of Cape Canaveral. I'm personally there for the rockets, and also because I was unfortunately born there. But to me, rockets is about the only thing we have going for us. We launch people to the moon from this state. End of that. That's the only thing we can be proud of.
Mark Beiser has a point. I've only been to Orlando. That was all it took.
Exactly. You go to Orlando, and then you realize that you basically go, okay, if you're on I-4, Interstate 4 is the corridor right in the middle of the state. It connects from Daytona to Tampa. You follow this, you're going through swampland. You are going through swampland. There is nothing. And then all of a sudden, Disney's Princess Castle. And then everything just skyrockets in price right after a certain exit. You go there and you find that everything is just so fucking fake. And you're paying for this shit. It's all surface level. None of that shit's real. And then you realize that you didn't really have any fun because the pain that you will feel in your pocketbook just overrides whatever fun you actually had.
Assuming it's kind of like ending up in California.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the vacation spots in Florida are fake. Unless you're going to the beaches, everything else is fake.
Oh no!
It is the most.
Oh no!
It's the fakest shit ever.
Even at the beaches, there's plenty of fake shit there. I mean, isn't
Florida
there's
fake shit on the beaches? As long as you ignore the fake shit that's on the beaches, that's the only thing that's legitimate about the fucking place. But like, I went to Disney when I was like a fucking knee high to my father. You know, this was a long ago. There was actually substance there. It was actually fun to go. Maybe that's just my childhood brain remembering it in a most, beneficial way, but whatever. But I went to Disney, much later in life. And when I went there, it was just, wow, this shit is just so played out. This shit is just so played out, so fake, so overpriced for what you're getting. It doesn't justify the cost. It just doesn't. You know, I'm gonna have more fun at Adventure Islands or Busch Gardens in Tampa than I will at Disney. At least you get to do shit there.
Yeah. I don't miss living down there.
I don't miss living down there. I mean, I miss the Rockets, but that's about the only thing I missed. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I fucking moved out. It's Florida.
Oh, well,
If I went back to Florida, I would go there just to visit. I would be asking myself, why did it take me so long to move out of this place?
I do have one question for you, and I think now is probably the most opportune time to ask it. So what was it like finally dealing with snow firsthand?
I fucking hated it. I absolutely hated it. The thing is that when you deal with snow, the road conditions deteriorate pretty quick. In Florida, we are pampered when it comes to our roads. Our roads are as smooth as silk. Jared knows this because he actually took a ride with me in it. We met up in reality on more than one occasion. But I had a Pontiac Trans Am with almost no suspension travel. That shit would have been brutal on your spine if I brought it where I am right now. But in Florida, it's not that big of a deal because the roads are smooth. They are in new status for years and years and years to come because they don't have to deal with snow plows and shifting temperatures beating the living fuck out of it, or people driving with studded tires or chains or whatever. They just don't get abused like they do in the northern states. And so if you drive in Florida, you're getting a smooth ride for the most part. Up here, I have already blown a tire. It already happened. I have only been up here for a few months, and I have already blown a tire. That has never happened to me. I have never blown a tire ever in Florida.
Welcome to the north.
And I live in the north for just a few months. I hit a nasty fucking hole in the road, and my tire just goes, this is impossible. I might as well die now, and that's exactly what it did. And this is me putting a spare tire on my car, driving to a fucking tire shop to get that shit fixed. And they were like, fuck, what the hell happened here? And I go,
Pothole.
Fucking pothole. And thankfully my rim wasn't bent, but I thought I bent it.
Oh, there's a joke in especially southern New England area. I'm not drunk. I'm avoiding the potholes.
Yeah. So
there are that many of them around that if you were to actively try to avoid them, it would look like you were drunk driving.
This place that I'm living at is a brand new home. It's brand new. It was built like maybe 3 years ago. The driveway looks like it's been there for 20 fucking years. It is absolutely destroyed. And there's patchwork all over it. I mean, just backing out of the driveway is like trying to drive out of a dirt road. I don't know how people I can see why SUVs are becoming more popular because they're the only vehicles that are properly equipped to deal with this fucking bullshit. And in Florida, you can get away with driving literally the cheapest car that Chevrolet makes, a Spark or a fucking Fiat 500 or a Mini Cooper, like one of the originals, not that new BMW shit. No, the original Mini Coopers and sports cars. You can get away with that in Florida. But up here, you need tires with bite. You need something with a little bit of suspension travel. If I had a bigger vehicle that actually had suspension travel, I wouldn't have blown a tire. But because I drive a fucking shitbox, yeah, I blew a tire.
Oh, and then you also have the low profiles, the short sidewalls on a lot of cars to boot that are coming from the factory with low pros.
That's why I will never buy a car with low profile tires. That you need sidewalls, especially where I'm living now. It's terrible. The roads are absolute shit, to be completely honest with you. And I know that, we have 2 seasons up here, winter and construction.
Now
but
you know why.
you just can't keep up.
But what are your roads really made of? Coffee grounds?
So here's the thing. Even in Florida, the asphalt in the U.S. is intended to be porous to help with rain dissipation. The problem is, it sticks around in certain parts of the pavement, and then you have a freeze. And what does water do when it freezes? As Dora is already pointed towards in the chat, it expands. And then it contracts when it thaws. So you're getting these continual expansion and contraction events inside of the pavement, which is what leads to the cracks and the potholes and everything. Here is one knock against the roads in Florida. This is my only criticism of the roads in Florida. They like to use ground up seashells as part of the filler. And after the rain, if you can be going around a smooth, slow, gradual 90-degree turn in either direction, and if you are in a vehicle like, say, a Ford Ranger pickup with nothing in the bed, at 15 miles an hour, you will do a 360.
Yeah, it's happened to me before.
But why don't you bank your roads?
They are.
We do. You'll still do it. They become slick as shit at that point.
With roads and stuff, like where I live here, essentially everything that you have it's not completely flat. Even roads that are, the main roads, etc., aren't completely flat.
Yeah, they have the runoff grade, but even with that, some of the rain, it comes down at such a rate that they want to prevent hydroplaning. So instead, because they don't trust people to actually slow the fuck down when it's raining, so people don't. They actually speed up. They've tried to counteract that as best they can to try to limit the number of accidents. So yes, the roadways are pitched for runoff to go from the center to the shoulder and the median. But on top of that, by using a slightly more porous asphalt, you're getting rid of water on the surface of the roadway straight through it as well. They've actually developed a new asphalt that actually will really quickly dissipate and let the water flow through it straight down without having runoff. The problem is that asphalt is not to be used in any place that it freezes, because it will pothole and rip and crack even quicker because of how much more porous it is.
One of the things that I think would help the situation quite well, which we're not doing a lot of in the United States, is education when it comes to driving. In my opinion, it's way too easy to get a license here. But people just don't seem to understand how to drive in wet weather. They think that the traction is there when it really isn't. And it causes fuck ups, because when you slide, you're putting a lot of stress on that road, and when you go off the edge, cracks form there as well. And those cracks can follow into the road. Now, granted, we're pretty on top of fixing that shit, and it's not as bad as it is in the north, but they don't fill it with more asphalt. They fill it with tar, and the tar hardens to a slick surface. And so if you lose traction
and then
on a part of the road that has a lot of these tar lines on it, you're going to continue to slide. And they do happen a lot over here, or at least in Florida.
How about we send over some driving instructors and some engineers from here?
They don't want to pay for it. That's the thing, is you have people who are so stubborn for change, so stubborn against change, even when it's necessary. They don't want to foot the bill. A lot of people don't see a problem with the system. They look at it as, oh, well, I never had a problem, so what's the issue? I've never had a problem. It's like all those people who say, "Oh, I'm the greatest driver ever. I've never been in an accident." And yet, if you were to actually ride with them or watch them drive, they're cutting people off and they're doing other bad behaviors behind the wheel that are causing other people to get into an accident.
Yeah, what was the tire? I had the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup tires on the back. These were some of the most expensive tires that you could possibly put on a performance vehicle. They were the chewing gum sticky, barely street legal, pray to God it doesn't rain type of tires. And I gotta tell you, when these tires are put on the vehicle, they don't give you a warning. They don't say, hey, just to let you know, the wet weather performance of these tires is shit. They just assume that you know what you're doing. I firmly believe that these tires need a fucking warning, where in order to buy these tires, you need to sit through like a 15-minute video that talks about the dangers of these tires in the wet. Because I was just accelerating from a stoplight. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I literally just released the clutch, started accelerating as normal, and my tail was swinging wild. It was like a dog that sees its owner for the first time after a year holding a treat. It was just shaking all over the place. And you see my traction control light flashing at me. And it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm not even gunning it. I'm literally just trying to keep up with traffic, and I can't because of these fucking tires. So it's literally a continuous hydroplane, and that's another issue. People just don't know what the fuck they have, and they just assume that how it will behave in the dry is how it will behave in the wet. Oh, no. Absolutely not.
That's why every winter, the first substantial snowfall we get in this area, I find an empty parking lot that hasn't been plowed yet and go see how my tires are behaving.
Yeah.
I actually had a cop come up to me one point and ask me what I was doing. I explained, and he had a thought of, huh, okay, makes a lot of sense. Good on ya. But I think you've had your fun. Move along now.
Everyone says phrasing. Just to let you know, I did that shit on purpose. My mind is always in the gutter.
Yeah.
Can you really say that your mind is in the gutter when it lives there? Wouldn't it just be my mind's in its normal habitat?
I mean, that is true. That is definitely true. I can see your point there. I accept this. I regret nothing.
Oh, we can give you something to regret. All right, but to be fair, we did already make him watch the trailer for season 4 of Discovery. Which, getting back to that, there is it's this window here. Let me drag this over here so the audience can see it as well, and we'll even zoom in a little bit.
Why do you hate your audience so much?
You know what? These are the people who wanted me to watch Picard so they could get my reaction to it. So you know what? A little bit of torture going both ways. Deal with it. So, alright, get that back down. Alright, so this here is the first comment that I saw underneath the official release of the Season 4 trailer of Discovery. Galactic level threat? Check. Empty cliche platitudes? Check. Shocked facial expressions for drama? Check. Generic cliche, we need to work together for the billionth time? Check. Explosions! Check. Well, it certainly looks like Discovery. Because Star Trek is supposed to be about the crew and the ship, not one single person facing one single thing throughout the entirety of one single season.
But my feelings.
And the power of maths.
Oh, and here's a good one. The galactic threat of the season plot. Does anyone remember when we used to be explorers? As said by Captain Jean-Luc Picard in the movie Insurrection, which even that wasn't...
I feel as though I'm more going to be looking forward to the CinemaSins video of this movie rather than the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
Well, that's the worst part. It's not a movie.
It's just, it's gonna be a probably 10 to 16 episode series, the season.
Ouch.
Now, and with all of that, the last two seasons specifically have been so centered around the character of Michael Burnham that it is... At one point it was laughable. At one point you could actually find some humor in it. You could laugh at it and be like, oh, okay, they're playing around. And then it kept going. And it kept going. And it got to the point where Burnham was arguably the most insubordinate officer you could ever come across. But it's okay because it's Mikey Burnham and she's always right and we should have listened to her from the beginning because she's just the bestest ever. Yeah, here's my recommendation. If you are interested in absorbing Star Trek Discovery, go watch Heel versus Babyface. Yes, there are some things that he glosses over, but not many.
With me though, I have a weird idea. What if the peeps at Star Trek collaborated with the peeps of the Orville?
One, it wouldn't work because they are so diametrically opposed. It would have to be a one group over the other. Two, I think they should have let McFarlane come in to take over the Star Trek franchise when he initially wanted to, which is actually what led him to creating the Orville. Yeah, McFarlane wanted to step in and actually do Star Trek stuff when they rebooted after 2009 with the JJ verse. Once they started kicking around the idea of going back to TV, McFarlane wanted to be a part of it. Seth MacFarlane actually took a non-credited role to show up in an episode of Star Trek Enterprise because he is that much of a Star Trek fanboy. He didn't care that he wasn't going to be listed on the credits or anything. He just wanted to be there. He wanted to be a part of a show that he grew up and fell in love with as a child and still cared about. So why not give control of the show to someone like that who actually can create a show that, despite attempted cancelization multiple times, actually remains a success, who actually understands and knows the series and the franchise and what historical value there is to it, and can actually make it into something that people want to watch. Because you have more than just the Star Trek fan base that gravitated towards the Orville. You have people who are just general sci-fi fans, gave it a chance, watched it, and continued watching it. They recognize that hey, yeah, it's essentially Star Trek Light. Yeah, it was meant to be. He actually said that it was a framework of what I normally do mixed in with a more TOS, TNG style of Star Trek. Episodic in nature, character driven, but with my sense of humor thrown into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, I can see a little bit of Family Guy in it.
Yeah. I mean, Seth's natural humor went into it because it was allowed to. I would go as far to say that if he had been given the full Star Trek franchise to play with, the humor would not have been as blatant, but there still would have been humor there. Just like there was still humor thanks to Brent Spiner in TNG.
Hey, Leon, you okay there, buddy?
I just read Icarus' comment there. I watched the first episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. It was so good that now I'm on season 4 of The Expanse.
See, and that's the thing. Out of the 3 series that have been launched in the past few years of Star Trek, Lower Decks is the better of the 3.
Sadly.
Yeah.
And I still say that was Rick and Morty with the Star Trek veneer.
Pretty much.
Rick and Morty. Love it.
Well, but here's the thing, is the showrunner for Lower Decks was part of the creative staff for Rick and Morty. So when I learned that, I was like, okay, I expect there to be some of it. But no. The main character of what you would consider the main character of Star Trek Lower Decks is essentially a female version of Rick in the Star Trek universe. That, and I even said this when I first saw a couple episodes of it. You know, if I wanted to watch Rick and Morty, I would watch Rick and Morty. But this is where I go back to what I was saying before. The reason why it got the approval is because the people running the studio that has control over the Star Trek franchise, they still want to make money. To make money, they need viewership. And they recognize, hey, Rick and Morty is a successful adult cartoon. If we want this animated series to have a wide reach and get a wide audience to justify the investment into it and have that return on our investment, we need to get that audience. How do we get that audience? Well, what is it about Rick and Morty that people enjoy and watch? Well, let's put that into Trek.
Live action Futurama. I don't think Futurama could ever be live action. I would say that would be a very bad idea.
It would look creepy as hell.
It would, and with Futurama, you just can't make it look right if it was live action. Not just the way the people look, but also how objects, like for example the ship that they travel in, how that behaves. If you were to try and CGI that shit, it would just look so out of place. Where on a cartoon, it doesn't look out of place. It's something that you would actually expect and it sits well with you. I don't think Futurama could ever be live action. And if anyone ever if I was the head of like a production company, they said, hey, we want to make a live action Futurama, I would be like, get the fuck out of my office.
Yeah, well, yeah, because in an animated series, you can get away with a lot of suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Live action is more difficult because of just the way the medium is. If you're doing something live action, it needs to remain plausible enough that you as a viewer can see yourself as part of that environment.
I mean, I don't necessarily give a shit all that much about anime, but just look at the Naruto run. You try to make that shit look natural, fucking try it. I guarantee you're going to fall flat on your face. That shit doesn't work. And if you were to try to make a live action movie that was about Naruto or the Naruto universe, whatever, and they try to run like that in real life, it would never look right. In animation, it doesn't look out of place.
Wait
But that's
a minute,
just one example.
with the whole Storm Area 51 thing, wasn't someone there and did the Naruto run in the background of a news segment?
Yeah, and they look absolutely
Ridiculous.
I don't know. What's the PC word for retarded?
Mentally other-abled.
Basically, they look like a fucking goofball. It's like, wow, I'm getting a lot of fuck this vibes from that run. I mean, yeah, just look at the live action Avatar movie. It was trash. See, I actually enjoyed Avatar. I enjoyed Avatar, but you look at the live action movie, I was like, miss me with that shit.
No. I think Bella's talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
Yes, Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's what I was referring to.
Okay.
Yeah, because the animated series was absolutely fucking phenomenal, and the story was great, but making a live action just did not work.
It was apart from them trying to change too much as well, and trying to do too much with too little.
Yeah.
Because Avatar, you could essentially make... How many episodes is the first...
Book 1, Water?
Yes.
How many episodes in book 1?
20. I believe it was 20 for the first two, and then it was...
where Google can...
Because you could make a miniseries in that case, and just have 3-ish episodes per
20
episode.
episodes in book 1, Water.
Yeah, so say you make a miniseries, and you have it about 3 episodes per live action episode. It wouldn't really flow as well, but it could essentially be done. But if you try to cram a whole fucking book into one movie, no. Nah. Not unless it's like 8 hours long.
Oh man, well don't hit me up with this. Well, Netflix is doing. Netflix has been making some pretty trash decisions. I mean, we all remember Cuties.
Yeah, Netflix has more misses on original content than they have on hits.
No, not misses. Complete fucking disasters.
There are different levels. There are different levels of a miss. I mean, not everything that's a miss is a nat 1.
Oops, I accidentally hit the nuke everything button. Whoopsie. Look at me being all clumsy.
I'd rather not, Davros. How about no? Just no.
Watch Fullmetal Alchemist live action failure.
Oh God.
It was like watching a fucking cosplay event. I couldn't make it 20 minutes into a fucking movie.
Wait. Speaking of failures that looked like cosplay events, what was that Bruce Willis movie that we started to watch and couldn't even make it through?
Oh, I can't remember. Cosmic Sin? Galactic Sin? Sin?
Cosmic Sin. A movie that is actually supposed to be released now, like middle of this month, but was released elsewhere like a month ago or more. The costuming, oh my god.
Wiggle, wonky.
Something that is supposed to be a metal attachment onto a suit of body armor, you could see it wiggle as the person turned.
Yeah.
But that's a movie that would actually do better with less effects. Say they just focused on the armor, not the whole fucking, we need to get all the fucking special effects. And just make it a smaller movie.
Well, and speaking of the special effects, mind you, this is the released product. How laughable were the blood splatter effects from the gunshot wounds?
It looked like something that you'd seen in a Neil Breen movie.
Oh no 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 no
It- it-
no no! Want to know who I think was the comparable video editor in charge of the special effects on that one? J.M. Truth.
It's also called After Effects.
Yes, it was his level of work that I saw in that movie.
So basically, it was a replication of what they were able to produce in the movie Rubber.
Garbage.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the movie Rubber, it's a possessed tire that goes around killing people. I shit you not, it's an actual movie that exists.
Yeah, everyone, this stream is a show of just how wonderful the latest content under the Star Trek banner has been the last few years. We've decided to talk about just about everything but.
I'll go ahead and take full responsibility for that.
Yeah, but I didn't stop it either because
I mean,
Yeah,
but
because
here,
he was surprisingly large.
here's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with every single movie that's ever been made just underneath the Star Trek title. That's what I saw in that trailer. I was able to pretty much watch the entire movie in a 90-second trailer because it's played out. I've seen this shit before, multiple fucking times actually, and not with these multi-million-dollar box office studios. I've seen this shit before on fucking YouTube videos, on short series that people did in their fucking basement. I mean, don't get me wrong, I couldn't have done a better job, but I'm not trying to sell something. They are, and I'm just being honest. They what they're doing is that they're trying to replicate the payout that was found with Avatar, not the Airbender one, the blue people one, and they're not going to get that same success based on what I've seen. I'm seeing a future Ghostbusters here.
Which one of them?
The bad one.
the reboot that wasn't a
61.
reboot but was a reboot one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then,
Well,
they don't. Go on.
It's literally, if you type into YouTube, why was Ghostbusters a failure, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The list is long and vast.
There's an hour-long episode of Red Letter Media where they go over that, and it's comprehensive. But
Yeah,
even then,
but I do see it going in that way just because it hits on every single cliche, and that's why I said I will be looking forward to the CinemaSins video rather than the movie itself.
Well, and that's the thing is CinemaSins doesn't even want to touch it. If you're looking for a CinemaSins style review and addressing of these latest offerings, the two channels to go to are Heel versus Babyface and Overlord DVD. Az and Doomcock are sadomasochists to the nth degree because they put themselves through actually watching it, and not just watching them, but watching them to the point of taking notes and then pointing out everything and then actually doing the work to create the video and then launch it and actually put that level of information out.
You know, and the best part about doing it that way is that they can't get hit for copyright by doing that, because it falls under criticism and commentary.
And not just that, is they also don't show any rolling film from any of it. They will use still photography from it, but not actual rolling film from any of it. Which
That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah. And the two main things that I would love to say directly to one of the showrunners or one of the executives in charge of Star Trek right now at CBS Viacom. One, No Star Trek series should ever be about a singular character at the middle of goddamn everything, so get rid of fucking Burnham. 2, you should have left Picard dead in the middle of the last episode of Star Trek Picard.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
that we're over that, do we want to go the somewhat semi-recent science fiction movies, at least after the 2000s, that have actually been good without being sci-fi action?
Have actually been good. Ugh,
Because there is
boy.
one that we watched, what is it now? A month and a half ago. Moon.
yeah, that was good. And you know what, Davros, thank you. I knew there was someone I was forgetting. I couldn't remember the channel name. The Critical Drinker. He is another good one that puts himself and especially his liver through the torture so you don't have to.
So basically following the same principle as the Gymquisition, but not about games.
Yes.
So when are we going to have a drinking game episode of Kanar with Damar? Especially with an episode of like Picard or Discovery.
You know what?
Whenever we can find barrels instead.
You know, we
I can
could
get Cage
actually,
here, so
we could actually schedule something like that. We could actually. But here's the thing. I would want to be able to do it when the 2 missing panel members would be able to join in as well. Which means it would have to be quite the early morning for you and I, Jay.
oh yes, but here's the thing. I think I'm actually getting a Saturday off coming up soon, because the boss wants to take an entire long week off. So that means I would work Sunday through Thursday and get Friday, Saturday off.
Okay, then we could I could go for some early morning Saturday drinking.
I mean, I don't
Hey,
need an excuse.
You're gonna get a call from your boss and be like, "Hey, what's up?" Nope, already drinking. It's 10 a.m. though.
You know, Reds,
I
it's
started
funny.
at 7.
You know, Reds, it's funny you say that because this was originally supposed to take place yesterday at 10 a.m. So we could actually have Gayo and Furball on with us as well. But let me go ahead and open this up and read it to you.
All right.
This was sent to me Friday evening at 8:08 p.m. Hi, Jared. I know you're not on call, but I'm going to need you at a certain customer tomorrow for coverage on startup. Machine should be running tonight, but little issues keep popping up.
Oh, so they're priming.
Yeah, at 8 p.m. on Friday night, I got that notice that I would be at work on the customer site 8 a.m. the next morning. And I got out of there shortly after 3 in the afternoon after getting there at 8 in the morning.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, as soon as I start again, it's gonna be like that for me. But I've been working nights, so if I'm just getting home and you guys are just starting, I guess count me in.
That one to get them on would be 10 a.m. Eastern.
Oh yeah, I'll be back by then.
Yeah, so it's one of those the start times for Kanar with Damar, depending on the people who are on the panel. If we are including certain person or people from Central Europe, 10 a.m. Eastern start. If we are not having panel members from Europe, if it's on Saturday, it's 6 p.m. Eastern. That way we go from that short break into VTW.
All I'm saying is goddamn time zone. They fucked everything up.
It was fun when Furball was in Korea.
Oh God, yeah, it was. We were waking his ass up at 5 a.m.
He's the one who agreed to do it.
Was he in the good Korea or the bad Korea?
He was in the southern part of South Korea.
All right.
This is back when he started his online presence on YouTube and everything. And so when we started this, we were trying to figure a start time that worked for him in Korea, Jay on the West Coast, me on the East Coast, and Geo in Germany.
I'm just imagining him signing on to a call with us and being like, yes, thanks to the dear leader's persistence, I am now able to talk to you through a secure connection that is totally not being monitored. Oh boy. Funny shit. All I'm saying is that I may have, before coming in here, watched a documentary about it. Holy fuck.
Oh, jeez.
Just saying. Holy fuck. You want to see some fucked up shit, look into some documentaries about that. It's like, wow. It's like I'm being teleported back in time.
And that's like a lot of people think of, oh, it can't be that bad. I mean, there are people who have admitted to messing with their opponents in an online game by saying or typing certain things into the in-game chat just to flag their connection and get them disconnected from the game so it's an easy win. But no, the Chinese and North Korean governments aren't watching individuals' internet activity with such detail and scrutiny at all whatsoever. No, they would never do that.
So basically all you have to do is type in Winnie the Pooh and there you go.
This almost reminds me of a certain book where one of the main characters, or rather the main character, has a fine little job where he reads through texts and maybe redacts things.
No, well, at first I thought you were talking about a movie where he was doing more than just reading text, but also setting bugs and reading in. But then again, wait a minute, no, that was a documentary about the Stasi.
Actually,
it's very close.
Now that I think about it, that if I were to just make up a movie, it would be revolving around the documentary that I just finished watching, because what it was actually about, it wasn't about North Korea. It was about the fucking pain in the ass it is to escape from North Korea. Because you know, logic will tell you go south and straight into South Korea or swim out the sea and loop around or something. You can't do any of that shit because that shit is so guarded and so patrolled that it's practically a suicide mission. You are not going to survive it. So the only way to get into South Korea is to go through China and down to Thailand. That is the only way for you to get back to North Korea. So it follows like a group of people where they have to make handoff after handoff of these smugglers, these human smugglers, and how they're actually being chased all throughout China as they're trying to, you know, escape. It's quite tense. And if they made a movie about that, I'll tell you something, I would fucking watch it.
Based on real events.
Yep. And in order to get to Thailand, they have to go through Myanmar and I believe it's Laos. Both of those countries border China, but there's a river that runs right in between all three of them. So they have to ride this river and haul fucking ass until they get to Thailand and hope to dear fucking God that they don't get caught by any of the three governments that patrol that fucking river. Otherwise, if they get caught, they'll get pushed back to China, and then from China they'll get pushed back to North Korea, which of course they'll fucking die then.
If they do get to Thailand, they can at least get a sex change and then go to Japan.
Well, in Thailand, there's if they surrender themselves to either the police or go straight to the South Korean embassy, they will just go straight to South Korea. They won't be going back to China or any of the other countries that would send them back to North Korea. But in order to get that far, you have to sneak, lie, fucking, trust your smugglers that they aren't secretly against you or whatever. It's some pretty harrowing shit, and it was a great documentary, and they should make a movie about it totally. Not only would it, put a lot of pressure on North Korea and China to stop being dicks. What am I saying? Of course it wouldn't, but at least it would get the world to notice it. This was a powerful documentary, and in fact, it was mostly shot on smartphones with these little clip-on infrared LED lights so you can see what they're doing in the dark. But my God, was it fucking good.
There's an issue, though. North Korea has nothing to watch it on. China will just block it and ban it.
True.
And those others who actually do have some kind of power to actually doing something against China are on China's side.
Because of economics.
Yep.
What's been happening, though, is that from South Korea, they've been launching weather balloons. And on these weather balloons are mini players and flash drives to play on these mini players. So they've been sending documentaries of the outside world, episodes of Friends, believe it or not. And they're basically trying to push through the North Korean blockade of all information that's outside the country. And the way they're doing it is with weather balloons. So when the weather balloons burst, they burst over North Korean territory and into North Korean cities. And then people just pick them up, put one inside the other, and start watching them. And so far, they've actually had some level of success where information is getting around, because once you watch it, it has no further value to you and it's contraband. So they pass it off to the next person and the next one and the next one. And it becomes impossible to trace it back to an original source of who started circulating that material. And so what you have is a underground network based on weather balloon drops of content that the North Korean government doesn't want you to see.
Now, had they had the kind of time and effort that China has, they would essentially just drop their own balloons with their own players, etc., with cameras, so that when someone picks it up, it takes a photograph of the face, identifies them, and you and your immediate family is gone.
Yeah, I imagine there is a little bit of a risk. There has to be some way to identify it, but it's like North Korea would first have to get the exact same players that they have, or make they basically would have to counterfeit their own. So it's like there's also another thing that they're proposing doing, which is a money bomb. Literally, they would counterfeit so much North Korean currency and then drop it. I mean, basically just shower the ever-living shit. They would shower the ever-living shit out of the country with counterfeit bills, and the first thing people would do is buy stuff, which would drive up the price of everything to the point of an economic explosion, and then the explosion would turn into an implosion. The fuck what does that mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Censorship trolled? What the fuck is that? Is China already onto us?
Oh, let's take a look over here, because
No, you're fine on my end.
yeah, the excellent connection is still there.
Let me check on my end. Yeah, I can still see the
Must be the Aussies.
Yeah, it's got to be that kangaroo net.
It's because I started talking about China and North Korea. It's because of that, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, because we're talking negatively about them, they're not going to let this stream be shown in either of those countries. Like they were going to let them be shown there to begin with.
Yeah, tell me about it. It doesn't seem to me that China would allow this to go through anyway without it being watched first, and then having the bad shit that we're saying about them redacted. Like every time I mention Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh.
I thought it was Winnie the Mao.
No, it's Xi Poo.
Ah, that's right. That's what it was.
But that's something which, sadly, also going back to the main topic of this, affects so many of the movies now and series. They're trying to aim for the Chinese market as well.
Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, South Park basically just said, no, fuck you guys, and they nuked their relationship with China by making an episode about it.
Oh, Reds, Disney, shocking, I know. Disney has already made capitulations to get and maintain the Chinese market, because if you look at the actual promotional material for the last couple Star Wars movies, a particular character was not as prominently displayed, if not just outright removed from the promotional material because of his ethnicity.
Oh, really?
John Boyega. Finn. If you look at the US and Western country material, he's on there. He's on the posters pretty prominently. You look at the Chinese poster, he's either really fucking tiny in the background or not on there at all.
Technically, those are more accurate.
Yeah, find that. There was a tweet that they made that was actually directly about China. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. They made they made a statement, and it was literally it's literally about a music band, and it's literally the name of the episode is called "Banned in China."
Jared, I sent you an image in Discord. Should I share it with everybody?
Let's take a look here. You know what? Yeah, let's go ahead. We are at the 2-hour mark, so this is a good spot to end it. And I just have one question for everyone in the audience out there. Is there a similarity to you? I think there might be. You know what? If you think there's a similarity, go ahead and leave a comment below this video, and we'll get a little pseudo poll going on. Until then, we will see all of you out there either on the Discord server.
Before we end, hang on, before we end at 82, I sent you something on Twitter. I think you should see that as well. And then we can end. That's right. This shit fucking ends when I say so.
Right. Oh God, the official apology. Yep. Hang on one second.
Doesn't arrive till Tuesday.
Yep, the official apology.
Now, I think when we... Come on. Yep, get that link. I think we should have Leon read it aloud.
Oh, yes.
Oh, dear Lord.
Beautiful. I agree.
You send.
Copy.
Fucking great.
And there you go. Open that one up, Jake.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot about this one. And so for those who are wondering, this was posted to Twitter October 7th of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Official apology to China from Terry Parker and Matt Stone. Quote, like the NBA, we welcome the Chinese censors into our homes and into our hearts. We too love money more than freedom and democracy. She doesn't look just like Winnie the Pooh at all. Tune into our 300th episode of this Wednesday at 10. Long live the great Communist Party of China. May this autumn sorghum harvest be bountiful. We good now, China? End quote.
She doesn't look like Winnie the Pooh at all. Love it.
So, with that, now that we've pissed them off too, let's see who we piss off next week. Good night, everybody.
Good
Peace
night.
out, guys.
Good night.